I can't even tell you how good it was to be back in Sydney with Sydney. So the raddest part about Unload Day is it's all the international teams, and so you've got the top teams from Japan and China and Sweden and Finland, and all these teams are unloading, and you haven't seen these cars in person, and so we all unload into this common area, and everybody's running around checking out everybody else's car and the latest upgrades and speaking through broken English to try to understand what everybody's trying to say. But all the enthusiasm's there, but the communication is kind of small. But we saw what we needed to see and just got super pumped.
Everyone brings these high caliber cars from around the world, plops them down at Sydney Motorsports Park and tries to be the fastest car there. And the build quality and the engineering and everything there is the craziest I've ever seen.
We must breed some pretty nasty stuff in America because we were the only container that required fumigation. So there's some dung beetle or something that we've been bringing over. And so the guy had all of his Breaking Bad kit out and had to go and fumigate the container and kill everything inside. But that was the only hiccup for the day, and I thought it was quite amusing. So. We were stoked. We rolled a badass car out of the container that was ready to hit the track. So. After we passed fumigation and the unload went smooth, we headed over to Pascua Performance, where we have everything we needed to sort the car out. But again, we sent a great car over there. It was a car that we won Super Lap Battle with. Haven't really touched it, to be honest. So it was just a lot of cleaning up, tidying up little things here and there. Knocked it out in a couple days to get ready for the first test day on Wednesday.
It's pretty special for me to be here. In 2015, I remember sitting in my house watching the live stream thinking, these guys are local. They're on the other side of the world doing something incredible. It would be even more incredible if one day I was a part of that. Here I am.
This year we went for all the right reasons. This is like we're getting the band back together. It's 2019. We're a little bit better than we've ever been. We brought Jose in from Portugal, Phil's back in Australia, and it just put this super fun team dynamic. Everybody was happy to be there. Everybody was there by choice, and it just set the tone for the entire week.
We're having so much fun here. We need someone to sit in this seat, and I do an excellent job sitting in a seat, not doing anything.
Fleetwood Mac, this is one of the greatest jams of all time. But I can't.
So Rob's new to this whole time attack thing, and he was taking it pretty serious, or as serious as he knew how to. So he downloaded the sim game, he put on his new driving suit and just stared at the computer screen for 16 to 18 hours.
Luckily enough, the game Grid came out a couple days before I had to drive at the track. That allowed me to get damn near like 500 laps on Sydney Motorsports Park.
Can you concentrate on the spoiler of Orlando? He's got
Orlando, where's the screwdriver?
Coil over so I can scoot the coil over and get this bolt out.
So opening up this year, we knew we were sending down a running car and wanted to take advantage of as much track time as possible. So open up with a Wednesday practice. They split it into 2 sessions, a morning session, afternoon. We chose to hit both of those. Car was running great, so we just kept at it.
So you get lots of practice days, which is good because you gotta set up the car and you're chasing tenths of a second, and so those practice sessions are pretty important.
Didn't ever really sink in until I was there. I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually doing this. hadn't felt like that in a really long time.
What kind of time attack car are you gonna build?
Let's go fucking sick.
I don't get that feeling in drifting anymore because it's not, I've done it for quite some time now. And this like brought everything back to where it was like day one and I was learning something all over again, which I technically was because I had never done this before.
Made laps all day long, you know, little tweaks here and there. Rob was getting a lot of coaching from Phil, and I was just kind of going through the motions and really just setting up for the first time laps on Friday. Very last practice on Thursday, I'm getting some high winds. It's in a headwind on the front straight, so I wasn't worried about the frontal speed, but I had some concerns about what the wind would do when turned sideways to the car. And I learned pretty quick what happens.
Cole comes around the corner. He's obviously coming into the pits. He's on the slow side of the track. And as he's about 100 yards away, I see like a part of Sydney fall off the back. As the car passes me, I look and just the rear is missing.
I took a little ride off track, 4 wheels off, and I knew it was coming from apex out as soon as I was sideways. So I straightened the thing up, drove in the dirt, and just figured my target back into turn 2. When you take a high aero car in a headwind, it makes more downforce. Everybody gets that, makes logical sense. But you don't realize when you turn sideways into that same wind, when it's no longer a headwind, how much downforce is reduced. So I actually wasn't too worried about the car and kept going, picked up kind of a race pace again until I saw my rear bumper flapping around in the rear view camera. I thought it's probably wise that I shut it down and bring it into the pits.
Oh, we're off. Well, because like once it went out, I was like just straighten the thing up so I can drive back on the track. But it was flat though.
I can't believe he held it together, but all the dust and dirt and stuff coming up onto the carbon ripped the whole back end off of the car.
Hopefully Cole did that to my car.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I mean, when you blow all your fiberglass or carbon fiber off, the best way to fix it is with some zip tie stitches. And Jose knows best, so he stitched that bad boy up, made it look proper, and in good Hoonigan fashion, all zip tied and ratty on the back, it looked amazing. And I mean, didn't feel any weird performance differences, so it was all good to go.
Welcome to Sydney Motorsport Park, the inaugural home of the Yokohama World Time Attack Challenge. Down here in the pits, I'm Jared McLean with Amy Upson, and Amy, the vibe is incredible, isn't it?
It's absolutely electric. Obviously, we're celebrating the 10th year of World Time Attack, and it's amazing to see the crowds fill up the pits here today.
So here we are again, 4 years later, we're on the big stage. It's the first session, and I can't help but think about what happened in 2015, the same session.
Oh, big lot of smoke coming out of that V6 Nissan. That's not a good look already.
But hey, new year, new me. Let's try it again. Went out and put a little bit of boost to it, and it works. You know, we slaughtered our old time by over 2 seconds at that point on the very first time lap. So certainly a great place to be, a solid time on the board, and knew I had a good car to head over to Rob, where he went out and put it down his first time lap of the day.
Broke my back riding dirt bike on June 5th, 2011. What it allowed me to do was challenge myself with how am I going to get back into the driver's seat of a race car. It was crazy to be the first person in a wheelchair to do this at World Time Attack. Not that there hasn't been guys in Time Attack cars with hand controls, but at World Time Attack in this caliber of car, I was the first person to do it. I was actually driving in Pro-Am and Cole was driving in Pro. So with respect to designing these hand controls, we had to take into consideration taking them in and out every time. And we made it so that it was a super quick swap. I don't think it was much more than 5-10 minutes for them to swap the hand controls in and out.
Good? Yeah, I think so. Everybody else good? Yeah.
It was crazy. The first lap was, whew, the nerves were high. First few laps out, and I was definitely really tense. I was holding onto the steering wheel hard. I was holding on to the hand controls hard. Everything was stiff, all of it. Coming back, I got full-on like arm pump.
Yeah, it felt good. Okay. Rate feels good? Yep. Okay.
Took a little bit to get used to that and just loosen up, but by the end of everything, I was so comfortable. Just the car drove straight. I didn't have to grip the steering wheel really hard. Nothing was on edge anymore. My nerves were settled. It was really good.
So the L is for learners. So basically, since he's a rookie, you just give him like this little favor for him.
All right, so is this the chair slayer? All right, it says
Yes.
Parsons in Pro-Am. So we're out there right now, going to get the first one down in Pro-Am. Rob Parsons, the chair slayer in the Life Motorsport R35 GTR. He'd already put down a 36.049, which ain't too bad at all, J-Mac. Remember, we've never had a guy get out of a wheelchair and get in a race car and come to a World Time Attack. We've just never had it.
Well, look, let's face it, if anyone was going to be able to do it, it was going to be a guy who drifts. Chair Slayer slaying not only tyres, but man, is he doing a great job out here in Time Attack trim.
Good job, mate. 36 flat. Yeah! Awesome, mate. Fuck yeah. Good job. He's definitely yeah. Awesome, mate. Good job.
Oh my God. All right. It's actually competition day, and I went out, first session of the day, I ran a 1:38, which is faster than the time Phil wanted me to be able to do by 1 second. Second session, I found like 2.5 seconds more. We ran a 1:36. So we're chipping away at seconds here, and I couldn't be more happy. The car feels amazing. It's stable and oh my God. Apparently there's a dick in my mouth. Yeah, just getting slapped on the face. 1:36, respectable time, and we'll see if we can keep doing better, man. I'm really stoked for this. Like, really stoked.
We had a really good first day. Rob surpassed his target goal. I got within 1/10 of mine. So I'm so grateful for guys like Kyle and the rest of the team that allow us to do something like this. It's amazing to be on the world stage with the best teams literally in the world, and I'm just so grateful for it. It's pretty amazing.
Saturday, the big day, the main event, when all the spectators roll out, what everybody's been waiting for. That's the day that everybody puts the boost. That's the day that everybody bolts on the sticker tires.
Maximum commitment.
Buys it down.
He comes here to hit the stretch. First run of the day. 1 minute 19.
I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he needs to look in his mirrors a little bit better.
Cole's going for the lap to say, "G'day, boys."
Oh, massive malfunction. We figured again another one of these entries that he's running both Pro and Pro-Am. Cole Powelson running in Pro, and Cole, the Life Motorsport R35 has been kicking some insane goals here at World Time Attack. You guys were just saying the energy levels are up here. How are you tracking in terms of your goals for this weekend?
I'm exactly 300ths away from my personal goal, and Rob has absolutely shattered his goals. So the vibe is high. It couldn't get much better, honestly. We just love to be here and knocking the goals out of the park. We've been turning laps solid since Wednesday, and couldn't be happier with the car and the team.
We know the morning sessions are typically the go-to session to put in another good flyer until you get a shot at the shootout. So we stickered up and... I went down and was able to slightly best my time from Friday, but not quite enough to brag about, but still pushed the R35 record a bit deeper.
Looked pretty good for one.
Felt really good. Yeah.
Right after that, we gave Rob a little bit more boost on the fun knob, and he went out and put down an absolute flyer.
We're going to go to the in-car from the chair sleigh. Here we go. So have a look to the big screen, boys. Look how he drives this car. That's all throttle and brake with the lever. He can select the gears with the thumb. So let's have a listen. Let's just listen to it.
I don't know if Cole accidentally did this or not, but it was left on high boost, so a higher boost than I was using prior to race day or on day one, and came out and hit a 134, 182.
Woohoo! Fucking Christ! Gained 2 more seconds.
That's mad, dude.
That's so good.
2 seconds every morning.
It felt good. There were some really slippery spots though with the oil. So there's still time on the table. That's for sure.
We basically accomplished everything we needed to the first session Saturday morning, and we couldn't be happier. The edge was off, the vibe was high, and we just spent a lot of time hanging out in the pits, meeting new friends, and putting kids in the car and kind of sharing the story behind Rob and what he's doing there, and just stoked on life.
I was able to talk with a bunch of kids in chairs, and their eyes lit up when they knew that, or realized that I was the driver of the car, and they were like, I want to do this. I didn't realize I could do this. So many lives, I think, were touched with what we did and accomplished on this trip.
The impact off the track, outside of the lap time, was so strong, was so rad. The amount of people that we had coming to our pits to see what the hand control system was all about and see how it was done. The amount of questions I had about how we switched between drivers and stuff was through the roof, and we're a pretty open pit team. We chose to sit out the 2 afternoon sessions on Saturday in hopes that we could best our time. We were on our last set of tires that were good. They had 1 heat cycle on them. The second heat cycle is about the best you can do with them. So we chose to save those tires for the shootout at the end of the day because we knew that the sun would be down in the sky a little bit and track conditions would be good. And so that's what we did. It was the only sessions we missed all weekend because we said, hey, Rob set his goal. I'd love to break into the 29s. I'm at a 30.0 right now. We just need some track conditions to do that. And so we sat it out and waited those 2 sessions. Guess what happened? The weather rolled back in.
Guys, the weather has taken a turn in the last couple of minutes. It's blowing a gale, as you can see by the flag behind me here. We're having some rain. It's sort of coming in and out. So with this amount of wind, it could dry the track pretty quickly. But right now, we're not going to see any fast times.
We're getting rain. We're getting high winds. I had already been spooked by the high winds on Thursday and just couldn't believe it. I stood there in pit lane just looking around, just like...
I think they send the slowest car out first in the shootout, right? Yeah, cool, I'm first.
And honestly, the wind scares me way more than the rain now because, you know, I can judge a wet track, but the wind, it comes in gusts and really affects the aero on these high downforce cars. So I was definitely more concerned about the wind, which we had plenty of that day.
Oh, he's not! This guy, oh no as well! Oh, Rob Newen, laps, oh, bandos!
There was only 1 car that went quicker in the Super Lap shootout, but I saw super talented drivers and teams dropping wheels and driving off course because of the wind and the wet track, and I'm not immune to that.
What we're seeing here in these blustery conditions is a complete negation of the aerodynamic assistance that these massive carbon fiber packages afford. The track is dry, the track is cool, but it has that crosswind for these drivers to contend with, and it looks like it's going to throw a few curveballs if what we're seeing out on track translates to the pro category.
I had to take the track as it was. You know, I wasn't going to shy away from my goal, and I needed 0.03 of a second essentially to get that, and the shootout was going to be my last opportunity to do it. So I saved it for the shootout, and I gave it all that I had, and it was maybe a little bit too much.
All right, Cole, I want Cole Powson from Life Motorsport to give us a sub 30 something. I want him to go home. Maximum commitment through Armando. That's just a little bit of VR 38 now. Yes. Pushing it through nicely. Cole Powson from Life Motorsport from Utah. And of course, Kyle and Cole and all the team, and of course, Chair Slayer as well. Great guys, great group of guys. Love yous. And J-Mac back to join us for the Super Lap shootout. Cole Powson, look, he's not up there in second. Oh, backs that thing in. Yeah. Cole, he's backed it in. And, you know, what can you do there other than just hope and pray that you can come out of the other side and not wash off too much time?
In hindsight, I had a pretty heavy tailwind and I went too deep in the corner, and so just a combination of bad weather and bad judgment ultimately pushed my lap out of being anything useful in the Super Lap shootout. So 300s shy of my personal goal, but couldn't really care less, honestly, because I had such a good time that I'm not going to let 300 spoil a week like that.
I mean, this trip was super casual for us. It was go out there, see what we can do, have some fun, and just like not stress. And that's what we did.
Look, everyone, Cole's going for the lap to say, "G'day, boys." And you know what? It's so good to see the team. I have no hesitation to keep inviting the good guys back. Yeah. And they're one of the good groups.
The Sydney experience this time was so good. It was just full of fun and laughter and just putting gas in a race car. There wasn't a lot of work, to be honest. We just kind of made it happen. It was a good group of guys with a well-prepared car, with realistic goals. One of the funnest race weekends I've ever been involved in. Easily. It was just, it lasted a week. We put that car on track for a week. It's a time attack car. It's not supposed to do that.
I can come back next year, right? Okay, cool. Hey Kyle, can we come back next year?
The next step is we've got a target on our back. It's Super Lap Battle. It's at COTA. It's at the F1 track in the United States. It's our big event. We won the inaugural event, and we're coming back, and we're going to come harder than ever with a better car than we've ever had on a tire that we're more familiar running. So expect us to stand at the top of the podium at that event, and we want to battle off the top teams in North America and whoever else shows up. And that's an event you can expect us to look to win.